This workflow turns a single product image into a cinematic UGC AI ad that looks like this. And the best part, every step is tracked, reviewed, and 50 to 75% cheaper than using OpenAI directly. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to use NA10 and Sora 2's API to generate amazing and cinematic UGC videos on autopilot. We're going to walk through the full workflow, how every step in the process works, everything from getting the request in Airtable through to generating more product images using Google's Nano Banana and actually generating the UGC ad videos with OpenAI's Sora 2. By the end, you'll know how to run your very own AI UGC machine that's able to output amazing ads in minutes and not hours. If this walkthrough helps, you can join my community to get access to the blueprint and start building your very own system. Links below, so let's dive in. So how does this workflow actually work? Well, we're going to be capturing all of the requests within Airtable, which we'll cover in more detail. We're going to store all of our reference UGC images in here as well, and any and all of the prompts and the videos that we generate using our Sora 2 model. Now, we've broken it down into 4 easy steps for you. So the first one here is going to be all around generating the additional UGC images based on your reference using Google's Nano Banana. Next, we're going to come through and be able to generate our storyboard for our UGC video based off the images that we've generated and we want to be included. And then we're going to go through and generate all of those videos together and store them back into our Airtable for us to be able to use them, refine them, and improve them in the future if we want to. And if you're not happy with any of the outputs, rather than have them fail over and over again, you'll also be able to automatically update them nice and easily with this additional part of the workflow. So let's jump straight in and see how to do it. Now, first things first, there's a big problem around AI images and videos being generated at the moment. And that is consistency, but also slightly quality as well. And that's why we're going to be running everything with Airtable and 4 individual steps. We're going to be able to get all of the requests captured in here. Everything is going to happen the way that you want it to. You're going to define if you want the preferred model to be either Sora 2 or Sora 2 Pro. And if you wanted to add in other ones like Grok's Imagen or VO 3.1, you can add that in there nice and easily. You can also do the orientation too, the number of videos that you want included, the length of each video, the style of that video, whether you want people to be included, or for it to happen without people. And then you'll be able to upload reference product photos or reference persons as well. And we've got an example here that we're going to be running through today. The key thing to note is you can't upload a reference person with Sora 2 at the moment because OpenAI is really strict around having referenced people in their videos. You would have to do, for example, @SamA for Sam Altman with their characters if you wanted to use it that way instead. So once you've gone through and added your request in here, for example, if we come down and paste in here, we can then say that we want it to be Sora 2 Pro. We want it to be a landscape video. We want it to be 3 individual scenes. Each scene is going to be 10 seconds long, and we're looking to do a product showcase. I'm going to upload a reference image in here, which is just going to be an example coffee bag that we want to use. And there we go, it's now all uploaded and ready for us to use. So if I want to start the process, All we're going to do is come across to the first part of the workflow, but if you wanted this to run in the background automatically, you could easily have that as well. What we're going to do is execute the workflow, come back across, and say we want to generate some UGC images. This is now going to start in the background, going through and generating them for us. But the best part with this is what we're going to do is recall all of that information with our Airtable nodes, as you can see on the right hand side here, to do with that specific request that we've asked for. So we've got the reference product here, as we can see with all of the detail. We've got the URL where we send the request. We've got that each video is 10 seconds. We want it to be a product showcase, new requests, and others as well. Next, we're then going through and creating a record. The reason for this is because we need to store all of our UGC images. And as you can see here, if you want to go through and update and refresh, we've included that in here as well, nice and easily. So if I come back to the first part of the workflow, what it's now done is analyzed those images using Gemini 2.5 Flash. We've basically asked it to pull out lots of key information so that we can then use this with our AI agent. We've pulled across the URL from the left-hand side here. So for example, or if I then come down and we put across that reference product, there we go. That's how we're able to go through and pull in that image. The reason this is really key is because, as you can see on the right-hand side here, it's now got lots of detail around this specific image. And the reason this is really good is because it's like asking a chef to create a meal without telling them the ingredients. We're going to give this context to our AI agent next so that it can generate really specific and clean scenes and it understands the product or the actual scene that we're trying to set. So now if we come into our image generation prompt, what this is now doing is using all of this information here, such as how long we want the video to be. We want it to be a landscape orientation. We need it to be more of a product showcase. We've included the request from the user as well, as we can see on the right-hand side here. Now, this is a really detailed one that I've given it, but you can also go through and give it lighter requests nice and easily. And at the bottom, we've explained what our reference image actually looks like. Now, if we come down the bottom, what we're explaining in here in lots and lots of detail is how many prompts we want to be returned, because of course we asked, as we come back into here, for 3 scenes. So what we need out of here is 3 image prompts to show that product in different settings. We've explained it in lots and lots of details here, what's good, what's bad, what it should include, how we don't want each image to be exactly the same. We want some variety in there. So maybe we have one, which is the coffee bag on a counter. We have someone maybe drinking the coffee, and then we could have someone outside walking around in lots of different scenarios. Again, this is just a starter template. You'd be able to go and customize this to exactly what you want. If we come down, we've also called out, we want global realism in there to make sure it looks really realistic. Same with the humans as well. We want to make sure they don't look like a mannequin or plastic. We want it to be as realistic as possible. Now, if we come out of here, as we can see on the right-hand side, we've got 3 individual outputs. Now, we've achieved this because we've used the output list parser. If you've never used this before, come to the output list parser, and all we need to do is pull that across. Now, for it to know how many items we want returned, what we've done in here is actually made it into a variable. So if we get rid of this and we come back down to request details, we're going to put across total number of videos. So now it knows that it needs to output those 3 items. And that's how we're going to get it consistent in the outputs. Now we're using Key to be able to generate all of these images. I'm using Google's Nano Banana, and we've got the API request in here. We're going to be passing across the 3 unique prompts that we've just generated, one by one, and we're going to give it the URL to our reference image. So as we can see here, if I now copy this, and we just open it up in a new tab, it's going to show us that reference image that we're passing across to Google's Nano Banana. The reason we're using Google's Nano Banana is because it's fantastic in that image editing, image replication for consistency. If you want to find it and use it from scratch, you come across to Key, which is a great platform to be able to run lots of these image and video models at a much cheaper cost. As mentioned, the Sora one alone is between 50 to 75% cheaper by coming through this platform. We're going to come across to Image API and Nano Banana. We can then come down to here, and what you'll see is that we've got Nano Banana Edit. If we come across, we've got the file that we can use. This is the low-code interface, but if you come across to where it's got API, you'll see that it will cost us around 2 cents per output, so still very, very cheap. And if we scroll down the bottom here, we've got the curl request that we're using. And what you'll also see in here is if you don't want to loop around with an if statement, waiting for that video to be completed, you can use a callback URL instead. So let's come back across to our workflow. We're saying we want all of them to be 16:9 for those outputs. So now we've gone through and we checked the status of each of those videos. Basically, each of those images, as we can see here, we're checking if that status is success. We're using the switch node here to check if that status is success, or if it's still generating, or perhaps waiting, or if we've got a fail. Now in this case, the fail just goes to stop an error, but you could get it to update Airtable if you wanted to, or send you a Slack message, a Telegram message, anything like this. This isn't as important for Google's Nano Banana because it's really good, but this will be really important later on for Sora 2 because it's really, really fiddly to get the outputs that we want. After it's gone through and generated the request, what we'll see on the left-hand side here is that we've got this URL that's buried in the results. So we've got the code node here that's just going to strip this URL out, which is going to be our new image that we can generate a video from. So the first one, as we can see here, is that reference image. If we come back across to the second one here, we'll copy this, come across and paste in here. Now we've got a slightly different scenario with someone trying to drink the coffee. Again, you can totally customize the image prompt so it gives you as varied results as possible. I've kept it quite similar at the moment for consistency, but it's totally up to you. What we're then doing is using this HTTP request and the URL from the left-hand side here, the code node, to download all of these images. So as we can see on the right, we've now got image 1, we've got image 2, and we've got image 3. So now we're able to get those outputs incredibly easily in a matter of seconds. But what we want to make sure that we can do is actually review them and approve them in Airtable. Now to do that and upload videos and images into Airtable, we can't just for some reason use an Airtable node that lets us update and actually add in an actual binary file. Instead, what we need to do is convert it to something called base64. So we're taking all of these videos and converting it into a super long string value. And this is going to explain basically what it is, the structure of it, the data of it, so that we can then reproduce it into an attachment in Airtable. Next, we're going to need to index them. So what this is doing is going, okay, image 1, then image 2, then image 3. So as we can see here, this is the super long string. So let me just come out of here actually, because it will give us an error otherwise. And what we'll do is we'll go across to the next field and just show you how it's referencing. So if we just come out and we come across into here, as we can see, what we're basically doing is now that we know what image 1 is based on the position that it came through, we're uploading it into our Airtable base. Now that's where you're going to have to make a few changes if you get the blueprint, because this app here, if we come across to our table, which again, you'll be able to duplicate in the resources, what we need to do is update it with this app ID that's specific to your environment. We're then going through and identifying the record ID that it relates to. In this use case, that's why we went through and generated a new row in this tab here, because now we're going to store all of the images like you can see here. We're still going to be able to see what request it relates to on the left-hand side. And if you wanted to go through and add lots and lots of different fields, maybe add the prompts in there, you could do that as well. We're going to come back across though. We're going to say that we need to know which column to store it in. So is it image 1 or image 2 or image 3? To do that, we've got our index here. So it's going to go through and create a URL like you can see on the right, which is going to be UGC image and then 1. The percentage 20 is just because we've got spaces in our formatting here, which of course would break a request over HTTP. So we just need to make sure it's actually together as a nice long string. So now it knows where to store it. We need to know what to store. And that's where the bottom part is here. So the file data is going to be our binary data here. And then the file name, we've just got a field, which is just UGC image 1. This is now going to go through with our API token here and actually just connect it into Airbase. If you've not done an API token before through Airtable, it's nice and simple. You just need to come back across to Airtable, down the bottom, into Builders Hub. We're then going to come across to this screen here, do create a new token, add in the scopes that you're comfortable with. You can go through and add loads in there. And I would say just add all of the resources so it can access all of the different tables nice and easily from one API. We're going to come back across into here, and then we'll just come across to the next phases. Now what we're doing is so that we only update the status once, we're just aggregating it together and then requesting approval. And that's why if we come back into our requests, as you'll see here, that status is now approval required for images. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to come back across into here. We can see that we've got image 1 uploaded, we've got image 2 uploaded, and we've got image 3 as well. Now, if you weren't happy with any of these images, we'll cover it later on in the video just around how you can redo it nice and easily. Now, say we're happy with these. Now we want to go through and generate a prompt and a storyboard for our videos. That's where all we need to do is press this button here. So we're going to come across to this workflow. We're going to do execute step, back into Airtable, and press the button. This is going to start our next workflow, but if we come back across, this will be running on autopilot in the background if you updated it to be an active scenario instead. So that way, the minute you press the button, it would go through and get the results for you. So what's this workflow doing? Well, it's all around the storyboard for that UGC ad that you want to create. So in this one here, we're going to retrieve that query ID that was sent across in here. And the way that we've done that, if I just get rid of this, is when we come back into here, we've got a button with our webhook URL. So again, if it's production, you just get rid of -test. If it's test, you keep it in there. We're then going to send across the ID of that record as a value for us to use. So now if we come back across, that's how we've got the query ID being passed across down the bottom. So now that it's returned all of the information for those images that we've generated so far, as you can see on the left, we've got image 1, image 2, and image 3. Now we're going to go through and create a new request in our UGC video column here. And this is so that we can make sure that each of our requests relating to images and videos is separated nice and neatly. So if we come back across, we'll see that it's gone through, created that row as it should. We've then just gone through and just updated our status of the request. And now we're going through and making sure that we've got the unique URLs of each of the UGC images. So it's come back to the get all details here, and it's pulling out this URL from each of our different UGC images. And the reason for this is because that's what's going to go through and be used to help generate our storyboard. We're using Google's Gemini in this use case to analyze each of those images that are going through and again, describe them in as much detail as possible so that our AI agent that's generating the storyboard in the next phase really understands what the different scenes are and how it needs to tie them together, or just have them as individual videos if you wanted it to. If you kept them as URLs, you would just change this to URL instead, but as we've got them back here, we're able to use them as binary files. Now, I've also added some future proofing in here as well for when OpenAI finally lets us be able to use reference people within videos. What you can do is a little bit of a bypass at the moment is if in your request you've added a person. So if I come back across to here, we had some examples here of just some individual people that we were testing out earlier on. This won't violate the actual approval process, because what we're going to do is use this node here with Gemini to basically describe that person in as much detail as possible to hopefully reproduce them as close as possible in that final video. So it won't be exactly the same, but it can give you a same feel, aesthetic, style that you're looking for. So then we get into generating that storyboard. And if we come into here, exactly the same with our AI image generator, we've now gone through and actually given it all of the information, as you can see on the right hand side here, for all of the different reference images at the bottom, which is this part. And we've given it the request from the user, which is here, and the orientation, the style of the videos, the length of each video, and much more. The reason for this is because in our next prompt, we're going to be talking about timeline prompting, which is a great new technique, and I cover it much more in another video, which I'll link down below, versus in this one. Now, if we come out of here, we'll come down to our system prompt. This is where we're going through and giving it those clear instructions on how many prompts that we need to be generated for our AI video generation. We've given it an example in here. We've given it an instruction scene, what it needs to do, how it breaks it down. Again, this is all around timeline prompting. We've given it some examples and we've made sure that it outputs as many as we need. Now for it to know the structure that we wanted to produce, we've got a structured output parser. So if you've not used this before, again, put across to the right, structured output parser, and you just need to define in here what that output needs to look like. So if we get rid of this and connect this back up, what we've said in our AI tools is that we're looking for multiple prompts to come back. That's why we've got these square brackets here, because that's going to be an array structure for us to be able to get the output that we're really looking for. So if I come out of here and do save, it's now gone through and stored all of those individual prompts one by one for us to use. If we've not generated one, then it's just going to store n/a for not applicable, because we don't need a prompt in this specific scenario. We've also joined them all together. So if we want to see that entire cinematic prompt on the right, again, in the future proofing, so that if we can one day really put this all together in one tool and it generates it straight away, we've already got some example prompts we're able to use. So we now come back across to Airtable and we come across to UGC videos. So now, as we can see, we've got the entire scene prompt in here for us to be able to review, see if we're happy with it. We can also analyze it one by one. It's got lots of camera details in here. We've got timestamps for that timeline prompting and much, much more. We've done that for prompt 1, prompt 2, and prompt 3. So again, if you're not happy with it, you can change it nice and easily in here to be exactly what you want before we go through and generate those videos. We're also going to include, exactly like with the AI image redo feature, the same functions in here. So now let's go through and actually generate those videos. So we're happy with all of the prompts that we've reviewed and approved. Now we need to trigger this workflow. So now we're going to execute that workflow. So it's listening for our request in the background. And if you activate it, it will go through and do it straight away. So we'll come back across. We're going to do generate a video for our request down the bottom here. It's going to start our workflow for us. And if we come back across, again, we're going through getting all of the information for those video prompts on the right hand side. We're also getting all of the UGC images that we generated earlier on because we said we're happy with every single one. Now, if we come back across, we're going to get the request as well. And the reason for this is because now we're going to have the user request, the reference product if we need to use that, the video model that we want to use, the length of the video, the style. We've got the number of videos, the orientation, and everything that we need to trigger that key request here with Sora 2 API. Now, the reason this is fantastic, if I come back across to Sora 2 Pro, is if we were to use this with OpenAI, let's come across to where we've got image to video, and we come down here, what we'll be able to see is the price difference. So as we can see here, Key AI have enabled us to be able to use Sora 2 Pro for basically 0.015 cents per second, all the way up to around 13 cents per second for the Pro version. And what this means is you're looking between 75 cents all the way up to around $3-4 for an entire video to be outputted around 10 to 15 seconds long in that Pro format. So for around $5, you can get an incredibly good UGC ad in a matter of minutes without having to spend weeks and weeks and weeks filming, testing, styling, all of the different aspects that you want with this. And it's also cheaper than using OpenAI directly, which I'm not quite sure how they've achieved, but it's fantastic for us to be able to use. Again, we've just used this API request in here and basically saying that we want to actually trigger this process. So if we come back across, let's see where we've got to. So we've come into our Sora 2. This is going to be how we actually triggered the request. If we open this up, we've got a couple of different dynamic elements in here. So if we just collapse it down on the left, let's go back to where we have get request. As we can see here, we're now pulling in that model that we specified right at the start. So if we had said that we wanted Sora 2 and not Sora 2 Pro, that's the model that it would use to generate these videos. I also added in a callback URL in here, just in case you wanted to send it to a webhook automatically in the future. I'll include a resource link down below for that too, so that you don't have to constantly loop in the background and wait for that response to come back. Now, the next part is that great UGC timeline prompt for us to be able to get the ads. As we can see here, if we close this down and we come back up to where we have the if statement, it's pulled through our prompt text here from the 3 different videos that we want to generate. We've also provided it with that reference URL, as you can see down here. Again, if I just copy this and open on a new tab, it's using that reference image straight away. We've also made it dynamic, so it's going to be landscape in this use case. We've got number of frames at 10, and the size is standard, or if you wanted to change that to be high for higher quality videos, you can do that in here as static or dynamic as well. Now that we've sent that request off, we're going to keep looping through until those videos are generated. What we've also done up the top here is stored all of those video IDs for us to be able to reference. So whilst they're still generating in the background, which takes around 5 to 10 minutes to do for the normal version, we're going to come across to videos, come across to the right hand side here, and now we'll see we've got all of those reference IDs for us to be able to recall directly in Key in the future, or if we want to, we've got them stored in here for the next phase of storing our results. The reason this is key is if we come back across, it's then going to go through, find matches based on those IDs to store our videos for us to be able to use. So we'll just wait for these videos to come back and I'll show you the results. So there we go. It's now gone through and generated all of those videos for us, all 3, so we can use them nice and easily. But what we need to be able to do is get this URL here to be able to extract that new video, which if I just show you in here, we'll then be able to use later on. So if I come out of here, back across to our workflow, we're going to need to merge them together based on the results that we have in the past. So this is going to basically see when we actually asked for that video to be generated, did it generate it, yes or no? And what was the matching request that we got back from the get status on the left-hand side. So now it's going to keep them if they merge together, and if they don't, that means maybe there was a failure or an issue, or it doesn't relate to this specific video, it's not going to keep it. The next part is we're going to go through and just get all of those records that relate to this specific request so far. The reason for this is because, as you can see on the right hand side here, we've got all of those request IDs stored in relation to the video for the UGC that we asked for. So now if I come out of here and we execute this next step here, so now we'll just wait for this node to come back. As you can see, they're incredibly quick. And now, as we can see, we've got match item 1, but we've got item 2 and item 3. So now we know what record the ID matches to what video that we've generated, so that we can store them in the correct column within our Airtable nice and easily. So now if we skip through the next couple really quickly, what this is going to enable us to do is exactly the same as before. Download that video into a binary format, change it into a base 64 string, and then go through and store it in our Airtable nice and easily. So if we come across here, now we can see it's gone into column 1, column 2, and column 3. To do that, all we've used is the same HTTP request that we had from earlier on, which was specifying the table and the app we want to put the data in. We also pulled in, as we can see here, that record ID, which is this one down the bottom, for the videos that we generated. So now if we come back into here, we can see that in there. And as we've got UGC, $20, video, and $20, now we're looking at these columns on the right here and seeing, okay, which one do we put it in? And we've made it dynamic because that code node is going to tell us that matching number that it found. So that's how we can go through and iterate and add in all of the data. The actual data that we're putting in is exactly the same as the image way. So we had the base 64 string coming across as the file. This is the entire base 64 string. As you can see, lots and lots of data. Can't even get to the bottom really quickly. And then we've just added the file name in here with the record ID and that specific video nice and easily. So if I was to come across to Airtable and I wanted to play one of these videos, I can. So this is video 1. Now we've got video 2. And now we've got video 3. To think each of those videos that we just got back were almost $1, I think that's incredibly good value for money if we wanted to put them out there, maybe for some just brand awareness. And again, I'm not a marketing expert. I'm sure if you had some great expertise in this, you could really fine tune those prompts exactly to what you want. Now, I haven't included using elements like FmpEg because it's quite advanced to get that set up. But if you want me to show you how to do that, let me know in the comments below. I'm more than happy to do it. One thing I'll show you quickly just on how you can go through and do the updates is just for time. If we do the image one quickly, we've also got this one here. So what this is going to do is if we listen for the request in the background and we come back to Airtable, say let's go for image 1. We don't like image 1. We're going to come back here and say image 1 and say, actually, I've just added a small prompt in there, which is just that we're asking for it to actually add in a glass coffee drip holder, like for a slow coffee machine. So now if I was to do update an image, it's going to trigger that workflow. It's now going to go through, analyze the image that we've already got, as well as that reference image. We're going to update the prompt that we've got. And what we're saying in here is the description of the current image and the user's request, which is back down here where we've actually stored it in the updated request to say which image we want updated. We've given it exactly the same image generation prompt to get the output that we're looking for. Now, I've not included the fail loop nodes, that's why we just got the error there, so make sure to add them in, or just find the wait time that normally works best for you. Nano Banana is about 30 seconds to get the outputs. So if I come back and retest the status, we should see that we've now got that new image. So we can extract that URL again, exactly the same as we did before. If we copy and open on a new tab, there we go. We've got it ready to go, which I think looks fantastic. I would love to see another video with this in here. We'll be able to come back into our workflow and then just go through exactly the same as before, upload it and store it in our Airtable. And if we come back across, as we can see here, we've now got 2 in UGC image 1 to be able to get the output. And that's exactly the same. If we come down here to the video generation again, it's just going to keep looping through, generate that new video for us. If we come across to UGC videos, come across to the right and press update a video. So that's how you can quickly and easily go through and generate amazing cinematic UGC ads all on autopilot using Key and NA10. If you want this blueprint to this exact system, or you want to learn how to build a business around AI and automation and land clients, join the community via the link below. Stay tuned for more around AI automation and have a great day.